All right, Hexmaster fans, buckle up because we are diving deep into character creation for this one. We're talking about taking this, the Hexmaster Players Guide, and really cracking it open. I mean, there are so many options in here, it's kind of overwhelming. So we're here to help you find the coolest, most interesting stuff to make your next Hexmaster character legendary.
And what really jumps out, at least for me, is how different this feels from your typical fantasy RPG. Like, you can tell right away that Maxia, the setting, it's infused with this cosmic energy, right? So even the races, they're not just your standard elves and dwarves. It's clear they were shaped by these unique energies.
Yeah, it's like a cosmic zoo in here. Forget elves, we're talking pulsar pursuers hunting by the pulse of stars.
Yeah.
And get this immune to radiation. That right there is whole backstory just waiting to be unpacked.
Absolutely. And you can see how the designers were thinking about gameplay, too. Pulsar pursuers, they'd be incredible scouts, maybe even navigating those, what are they called, cosmic currents. Adds a whole other layer to exploration.
Ooh, and you know what else sounds awesome? Being a frost folk, they're basically living ice and snow. Plus, and I swear I'm reading this right, they can chill a beverage just by touching it. Handy party trick, right?
See, that's what I mean about play style. Even little things like that. Frostfolk, they'd be invaluable in certain environments. Imagine an ice dungeon, suddenly it's their home turf.
Okay, but this one, the Kunoroids. Sentient mushrooms, right? But they're obsessed with libraries. It's so specific and weird. I kind of love it.
And yet, it fits. You know, Maxie, it's a place where the boundaries of what's possible are constantly being redefined. So it makes sense that even the races reflect that. It's about finding the race that speaks to you.
Totally. So as you're listening, think about it. Pulsar Pursuer, tapping into that cosmic awareness, or Frostfolk, all cool and collected, no pun intended. Or maybe a Kunoroid, just diving into ancient lore.
And those are just the races. Once you start looking at the classes, that's when things get really wild.
Oh, I know, right? We've got time to get into it, but the Arcane Gambler, for example, their magic is all about luck, high risk, high reward. Sounds like my kind of game.
Definitely designed for players who like a little chaos, a little uncertainty. Every decision is a gamble.
And then you've got the Lash Savant whip wielders. Always cool, but they can target specific equipment. Like mid-battle, disarm your opponent with a flick of the wrist. So tactical.
Exactly. It's about thinking outside the box, using the environment, outsmarting your enemies.
And of course, no fantasy game is complete without a witch, right? But in Hexmaster, they can learn spells from any class.
The Witch's Grimoire, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes knowledge as power. You're not just a one-trick pony, you can be a master of all magic. Really cool for customization.
I can already see the possibilities swirling. Okay, so we've got these amazing races, incredible classes, but what really sets Hexmaster apart, I think, is how it weaves your backstory into the game mechanics.
Well, absolutely. In a lot of games, the backstory is just flavor text. But here, it's baked into who your character is, and not just like, oh, you get a bonus skill. We're talking life-altering stuff.
And it's like your past has actual mechanical weight, you know? It's not just background noise.
Exactly. And the guide even gives you this whole process to generate it step by step. It's like you roll for your ancestry, then how you were born, major childhood events, really detailed stuff.
I love that. Makes every character feel truly unique, like they've actually lived a life, you know?
Yeah. Like, imagine this. Your character was born under a quantum anomaly, gives them a bonus to intelligence, but also a penalty to wisdom, because reality is a bit off around them.
Oh, that's fun. Not just a stat bonus, but like a personality quirk built in. They could be brilliant, but maybe a little too trusting of a prophecy, walk right into danger.
Exactly. Or how about rescued by an interstellar paladin instant story hook? Plus, you get bonuses to persuasion, maybe learn from the best, and a once-a-day protective aura. How cool is that?
So it's like that event, it literally manifests in the game. I love that. It makes you think not just what happened, but how it changed them, you know?
Exactly. Did it inspire them to be heroic, too? Or leave them afraid to let others down? So many possibilities.
Ooh, and they mentioned a great temporal anomaly background, like you experienced time travel as a kid.
Oh, the stories you could tell with that.
Yeah.
Instant campaign plot hook right there.
Seriously. Okay, but speaking of plot hooks, we gotta talk about companions, right? Every hero needs a sidekick, and Hexmaster does not disappoint. And I'm not just talking about stat boosts here.
Oh, no. Companions. They're like full-fledged characters in their own right. You've got everything from talking animals to, like, sentient robots. It's about finding a companion who complements your character, maybe covers a weakness they have, or opens up new ways to approach a situation.
Right. Like I was reading about the Enigma's Echo Expert. It's a companion who can help you piece together clues from the past. It's like having a time-traveling detective on your team.
Oh, that would be amazing, paired with that great temporal anomaly background we talked
Yep.
about.
You could have a whole campaign around solving time paradoxes. Or, if you're feeling really daring, there's the Visionary of the Void Vortex companion. They give you glimpses of the future.
Ooh, risky, but so cool. Talk about high-stakes decisions, right? Do you trust the vision, even if it's cryptic?
It's like that high-risk, high-reward playstyle we were talking about with the Arcane Gambler. I love it.
It's what makes Hexmaster so engaging, you know? All these choices, they build on each other, and then
Yep.
you have to decide your character's call to adventure. Like, why are they out there in Maxia in the first place?
Right, it's not enough to just be a cool character. You gotta have a reason to go on adventures.
It's about finding that core motivation, that burning desire, what drives them.
Is this something epic, like destroy the celestial Leviathan or, unravel the threads of time?
Or maybe it's deeply personal, brew the elixir of immortality to save a loved one, or establish a utopian colony among the stars. I
Mhm.
like that. Very optimistic.
Whatever it is, that call to adventure, it becomes the heart of their story. It ties their past, present, future all together. It's the spark that ignites the adventure. But before we send you off to craft your own Hexmaster legend, we got to talk about the mechanics that make this world come alive. Because trust me, they are something special. We've talked about all the cool stuff you can be in Hexmaster, right? The races, classes, those backstories.
But none of that matters if the game itself isn't fun to play. And that's where the mechanics come in.
And let me tell you, I've played a lot of RPGs, and Hexmaster's got some really clever stuff going on under the hood.
Yeah, it's not just rolling dice and adding numbers. You can tell they put a lot of thought into making it tactical, but also, like, thematically appropriate.
Yeah, right. Like
Correct.
take ability scores. Every RPG has those. Strength, dexterity, all that. But in Hexmaster, as you increase a score, you unlock these sub-abilities, little talents, quirks, stuff that makes your character feel more real, more unique.
It's a neat way to add depth, right? Like, it's not just high strength, you hit harder. It's,
Yeah.
at a certain level, you might get this unyielding thing, immune to poison and disease. Suddenly, your barbarian isn't just strong, they're tough.
I love that. It's like in those epic fantasy stories, the hero is marked by their resilience, right? And this lets you build that into your character from the ground up. And it's not just for combat either. High intelligence, you might get Seer's Vision, cast divination spells for free.
There you go. Connects it right back to that cosmic energy, natural talent feeding into magical power. And of course, low scores have consequences too, which can be fun. Imagine, you're playing this super wise sage, but they've got confused compass because their wisdom is so low.
Oh, that's hilarious. Always getting lost, stumbling into trouble. Or maybe stumbling onto a secret path. Who knows?
Exactly. Speaking of stumbling into things, we got to talk about magic in this game. It's familiar, like you've got spell slots, but then they add these wrinkles that really make you think about how you use your magic.
Right, that spell mastery thing, right? The more you use a spell, the better you get at it. So a dedicated healer, they don't just cast Cure Wounds, they become famous for it. Almost miraculous.
It's like specializing, finding your niche, which makes those multi-class characters even more interesting.
Oh, for sure. I mean, imagine a witch who's learned a fireball, catches everyone off guard.
See, it's all connected. Those choices you make, they ripple outwards.
Speaking of choices, combat in this game, it's tactical, man. And I don't mean just number crunching. You've got positioning, using the environment. It's like those old kung fu movies, using your opponent's weight against them.
Every action has weight, you know?
Yeah.
Disarm a foe, trip them up, and maybe send them tumbling into a chasm if you're lucky.
Don't even get me started on the Lash Savant targeting equipment. Oh man, that's cinematic right there.
Taking the helmet right off a knight, boom, advantage goes to the clever player. See, that's what I like. It rewards creativity. You're not just following a script, you know?
Okay, but one last thing we got to mention, cosmic events. This is where things get really wild.
Oh yeah, this is the Game Master's toolbox for shaking things up. Imagine you're exploring a dungeon, feeling good.
And bam! Temporal anomalies. Suddenly you're 1,000 years in the past. Or maybe a parallel dimension.
Or a void storm hits. And it's not just monsters, it's reality itself going haywire. Objects behaving weirdly, laws of physics changing.
So it's like the universe is a character too, right? Always throwing curveballs, keeping you on your toes.
That's what makes Maxia feel so alive, so unpredictable. You never know what's around the corner, and I love that.
So there you have it, folks. We've gone deep on character creation, the mechanics, even those crazy cosmic events. It's a lot to take in, but hopefully you're as pumped about this game as we are.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't sweat it. Start with one thing that excites you, Read up on that. The Player's Guide, it's your treasure map, you know. Explore, experiment, find what speaks to your playstyle.
Exactly. Whether you're a veteran or brand new to this, Hexmaster has something for everyone.
So grab some friends, dust off those dice, and get ready to explore Maxxia. Who knows what legends you'll create.
Until next time, keep those dice rolling, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.